the state of spinal injury stuff at the moment. I think maybe we should talk about that a bit more and sort of see what it was like back in the day. I keep saying that.
Yeah.
And what it is now, and sort of what do you sort of think about
It's different. I think it's fair to say that a lot of the spinal centres here in the UK have their challenges. The numbers, for one, are far greater than we all thought. We were working on a kind of a model of about 1,000 people per year being injured, if I can sort of say that kind of terminology, and therefore new to spinal injured world, and there was always a dilemma with the spinal centres of how many they could see and support, and what kind of offering that they could have, and whether you get all those 1,000 into a spinal centre, whether they'd just be in the general hospitals. But actually now, because now there is a database of spinal cord injured people, which there wasn't until about, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago. And now that analysis of those numbers is 2.5 times that number.
Wow.
There's about 2,500 people a year are new. Now in that number they're including those that have a spinal cord injury through a non-injury means, so through a medical means, whether it's a tumour or some cancer on the spine, or called equina, or some other medical kind of route, if you like. So that obviously boosts the numbers up greater anyway, but also it's just realisation that there are a lot of those that are not then being seen or being picked up by the spinal centres, specialist spinal centres around the country. They also, a lot of them had ambitions for being a centre for life for people. So, very much when I was injured in 1990, there was always that perception that, that was your unit and you could go back there if you had any problems, etc. And a lot of them now are just finding they just can't open up to outpatients in the same way that they could previously or had wanted to. So there's lots of challenges that they face, and at Backup at the moment actually we're just going through a strategic review. So we're working and going around a lot of the spinal centres to really kind of listen to them about what issues that they're facing, so we can look at our service offering to see if there's something different or more in the way that we might be able to support people with spinal cord injury here in the UK. So yeah, it's still very much work in progress at the moment, but there are challenges out there. We're seeing lots of people now are having far shorter stays in hospital, and that to a certain extent there's good reasons for that. I think there's lots of arguments that people have stayed too long previously, and end up getting slightly institutionalised in that kind of safe space of the unit. But equally, people now leaving haven't had the extent of physiotherapy, occupational therapy that perhaps I did when I was in the early 90s. So they're less equipped with knowledge and strength often to do the things that they potentially could do. They just have that extra bit of focus. So I think a lot of it has been sort of pushed out to the community, and the community then are looking to pick up, but the resources may not always be there in the community to do that.
With my experience,
challenges out there.
So with my experience, because I went to Australia and sort of saw what their sort of system is, and I hear from people in America, and it seems that because we are like NHS focused and we don't have like insurance, like medical insurance, we have to sort of put emphasis on the hospitals. Like that's what we've been doing over the years. Like the physio's done in the hospitals, and as soon as you leave, that's sort of it. Like you're on your own, and then you come back if you need it, sort of thing.
Yeah, that was the model. Yeah.
Whereas in Australia, their method is sort of a lot more. Like you're in hospital for a short time, you have a little bit of physio, but when you're out, there is opportunities out there to do some more physio. America is very, very short in hospital, it seems, but you're just there for your recovery part, and then as soon as your acute stage, then as soon as you're out, your insurance will pay for your physio, like depending on what insurance plan you've got, obviously.
Yeah.
And you'd go to a centre where you do your physio.
Like a rehab centre.
Yeah. So, is there things that you reckon that we could learn?
Yeah, definitely. But I think this then comes down to resources and who puts in that infrastructure. You know, and I think they've been trying to move that way just because, you know, hospital care is the most expensive care, you know, from a budget perspective from the NHS. But the infrastructure isn't there yet in the community unless you've got personal funds to pick up that slack.
Yeah.
And therein lies our problem, I think.
Yeah, because I think quite a lot of people that go, so there are people that obviously get big payouts from their injury and that, and they can go to some places that can afford, you know, so they can afford like these private physios as such, but there's not necessarily...
Not everybody has that,
Yeah, not everybody has that, and not necessarily all these physio places are specialising in spinal, so they're just going to general sort of physio, and you know, they're not having the specialised care that comes, or specialised needs that somebody of a spinal physio would like necessarily need to know.
Yeah.
So there are sort of
the
things.
spinal centres, though, I believe, whilst they can't always accommodate the kind of outpatients directly in the hospital, they have like an outreach kind of service, so you can kind of tap into the advice of nurses and physios and blah blah blah, and you know, they can often, you know, come out and visit you in your home, you know, if you've really got a need. But it's it may be different in the different spinal centres around, but there might be something around that you can tap into to help educate the physio that you might have. Yeah. To make sure that you're obviously getting the right support that you need. And you know, and then you can carry on. Yeah. You know, in your own time.
Definitely. But it's part of the reasons why I do quite a lot of my videos, and that you know, is to help people in what, you know, from a personal trainer's perspective, what sort of things I can do. You know, you don't necessarily need a physio to show you like exercises you can do yourself.
Build your strength. Yeah.
You know, that's something that a personal trainer can do.
Yeah.
And via YouTube I can do it for free, which is great. So I can provide that sort of service to people.
And I've been promoting you with my mentees.
Oh, good.
That's
good to good to know. Yeah. So having, and it's not just me out there doing it. There's places like, there's the Get Busy Living Centre up Essex sort of wayish, and they've got like a gym that they've built there, and it's somebody who was injured, spinal cord injury, and they've set up that centre and those gyms, and there's small little things popping up here and there, and it seems to be that people that have had the injury, you know, and they're sort of providing the service for fellow spinal injury patients, which is really great to see. Yeah. You know, if you know,
we help ourselves.
We help ourselves essentially, and we help each other out, which I've always found with the spinal community as such, that it's actually a really positive community generally, and people are willing to help each other.
Yeah, share experiences.
You find it a lot with, you know, there's online Facebook groups that a lot of people are part of, and that I share a lot of my things with, and they see, and I see a lot of, you know, somebody asks a question and then like, they might get like 50 answers to it, and they can get a bit more
wade through.
Wade through it all. A couple of jokes in there, but but generally they can get the advice from someone there, which is, I like that sort of community in that, and I'm part of a few other groups that I share my stuff to, but I seem to find that the spinal group seems to be a little bit more positive, which is bizarre to see, but also really good at the same time for us guys that are in that.
No, it is good. And it's, I mean, it's easy sometimes to get down, and you have moments where the world seems to be against you, and you know, things are not going your way. I've always thought that it's often too easy to blame the disability. Sometimes, yes, it's, you know, I don't know, something happens, you have a skin problem, you know, and that can be serious and put you in bed rest for ages, and that obviously is quite specific to obviously your condition. But you know, other things that, you know, everybody can have a bad day, irrespective if they've got a disability or not.
Yeah.
And it's often how you pick yourself up and carry on that is testament to, you know, how you can deal with things generally. But it's sometimes I think it's too easy to moan and blame everything, and this is because, and woe is me, whereas you know, you can help yourself by just trying to stay positive and, you know, moving on, look behind you, learn from it, and yeah, you won't make the same mistake next time, maybe.
Yeah.
It might be.